We have Richard Edlund, we have the EEG people.
Right.
We have people who have done part of the Star Wars trilogy and Poltergeist. They want to make sure that all these effects that they use in Ghostbusters are different.
Completely new.
I'm Richard Edlund. I'm not exactly what I did on the film. I did a lot of things. I mean, it was, I guess, supervisor. And it was an opportunity that came by way of a phone call from Ivan Reitman when I was having an operation on my back.
John Bruno was the visual effects art director on Ghostbusters. Once we had finished Poltergeist, I went on to do a film called Corsican Brothers with Cheech and Chong, and I was in Europe when I got a call from Richard and said, do you want to work on this movie?
Terry Wendell, and I was one of the animation supervisors on the show. Yeah, I knew John from the past. He hired me on Heavy Metal, which was an animated feature to do layout and design work. And I was living in Canada along with Anique, my wife, who I met during the show, and visited John at ILM, and that's how we hooked up to do on Poltergeist.
A bunch of us that are assembled here today were all kind of waiting for the go on this, and once I did get a go, then we all came together at a studio in Marina del Rey, which was kind of like a pile of parts, and we had to essentially rebuild the whole studio, come up with techniques and styles for doing the whole show, design and storyboard everything, and execute within the space of about a little over 10 months. It was quite an amazing project, and I think that it couldn't have been done without this group of people.
Basically, the trapping process is...
It's difficult. It's something like trying to get smoke into a Coke bottle with a baseball bat.
I remember the meeting that we had where Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and everybody came down. They had a very naive approach to making the effects, but they had a very energetic approach to the style of the film. They just wanted it to be balls out fun. They wanted people to be able to laugh, and they didn't care how it happened.
So it was just, let's just do, it's like a three-dimensional cartoon. Let's just do it.
Normally, you know, we came out of this sort of razor edge, laser light, Star Wars look, all bottom-lit animation. And this was all about throwing all that stuff away and just kind of coming up with something from our guts.
He slimed me.
The effects that were done at the time of Ghostbusters required a completely different type of ingenuity than exists today. I mean, the effects ultimately in Ghostbusters wound up costing about $5.6 million. If we'd have done Dan's original script, it would have been $40 million in effects. So when Harold Ramis started working with Ivan on paring the script down, and we started going through and saying, you know, we don't want to bring the Marshmallow Man out of the East River because it doesn't make sense. And secondly, it'll cost much more to do. The idea was to try to figure out how to most simplify this incredible mental explosion. One of the signatures of the movie is the Neutrona Wand animation, which is the idea of rubberizing light and coming up with a comedic-looking animation once these guys with these berserk Neutrona Wands would let loose with them.
One of the descriptions was this Neutrona Wand was basically someone holding a thermonuclear accelerator on their back, and what would happen if they turned it on.
The pack is a positron collider, and the wand or the stick is a neutrona thrower.
You know, it'd be like 1,000 times more powerful than one man holding a fire hose, and actually took explosions that were filmed on the stage and then rephotographing them with a technique that these guys developed called pin blocking, so you could miniaturize these little explosions. So like the tip of the gun was actually had pyrotechnic explosions and flares and things laced in there with about 5 levels of classical animation that was also manipulated on the optical printer by Mark Vargo. So all this stuff put together just came out into this kind of wild thing.
The first effect that we really see in the movie when they see the librarian in the library and she tells him to shut up. And her book, I remember, because she was kind of soft and was diffused, but her book had to be sharp, which Anique's people fixed, so the book was rotoscoped, so it was separately treated.
I really enjoyed working with Richard and everybody else. I worked before with him on Return of the Jedi at ILM. And it was a great experience, and they kind of accepted me and respected me a lot.
And Nick also really took the bull by the horns, and if somebody wasn't producing, she'd let him know. And it was very effective, I think, you know.
Very much so.
Don't you guys all agree?
Yes.
We did get whipped every now and
Was
then.
it Nuke?
So I would end up, projecting the image down, and on a cell I would use like a pidograph number 000 or 50, whatever, how small it would be, and outline frame by frame each characters, and then we would paint them black and shoot them bottom light. That probably took like 3 weeks to do, like 1 second, 2 seconds.
All in all, from what was projected and what was done, the amount of work increased on her department was, tenfold from what was projected. And she
I remember constantly surprising her with, oh, here's another shot.
My shelf kept, the film kept growing and growing on the shelf.
Yeah, he's trying to find ways to sneak up and leave the
Yeah. Kind of like,
print without.
Is she at lunch? Yeah.
John DeCure, who always thought big, had found this location in New York, which was a building that went up X number of stories, and it was like Calvin Klein had the penthouse there. But we added about another 10 stories onto it with matte paintings for numerous shots.
There was a nice touch in that shot because I think Neil had thought of, he photographed me and Michelle and 2 or 3 others up high and inserted us in a balcony in a painting on the lower right side. So there was some movement because, you look down there and the cars aren't really moving, they're painted.
As a matte painter, I mean, Michelle, who is probably one of the, if not the top matte painter in the business today, in my opinion.
Don't change.
She's a little shy.
The Onion Head is the green character that,
Known as Slimer.
and there were some sequences where he was supposed to be up in the chandelier, and there was a little guy made at great expense. We found out to make the proper streak that was needed for the shot, it wasn't small enough. And it being the 12th hour and needing to get the shot out, we ended up basically spray painting a peanut green.
But it was moving quick.
Yeah, so no one saw it. But the despicable, disgusting blob, as they call him. And I don't think anybody really knew that his inspiration, I remember talking to Dan Aykroyd, was Bluto from Animal House.
Yeah,
was
John Belushi.
John
So that's how
Belushi
we
was
did
the inspiration of this.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
asking what
take
this
it
character's
easy.
supposed to be.
And Pee Wee Herman was going to be the Gozer at one point. And then it went
Oh, it's
to
Grace Jones.
Grace
Then it was
Jones.
Grace Jones, which is the line, aim for the flat top. The character of Lewis was John Candy, which ended up
Right.
being Rick Moranis. But we had storyboarded the whole sequence with John Candy. And then we had shot these elements of this ghost. We had to make this really tight-fitting sort of gossamer gown that she was wearing that's sort of flowing. And so she could float, and we shot her against black. To make a mold, everybody would sort of rub Vaseline delicately around certain places, and finally she grabbed one of the guys and said, "Come on, let's just get on with this," and grabbed his hand and pushed him on.
The first glimpse the audience gets of him is this little, what the hell is that, I mean, you're looking between the buildings, and so you've kind of seen, but you don't know what you've seen. And then when he steps out on Broadway, it's like this great King Kong kind of exposition.
I remember that forced perspective set we made of Central Park. We were just rolling model cars down the
Yeah.
street. And some of them we radio controlled and drove one of them kind of haphazardly into a fire hydrant. It took several takes just to get the darn car to hit the fire hydrant, as it turned out.
But when that fire hydrant went, you had that good spewing sand technique.
Yeah, Pete Gerard made this little spray device that just shot fine sand up to simulate
Yeah.
the water. The weird scale that we ended up at made a real problem for all the just populating the streets with vehicles. It turned out to be 1/18th scale. You don't find any accurate model kits in that scale, so I scoured Toys R Us and found this police car that looked like a New York police car, was the right vintage and the right size, as it turned out. So I called all the Toys R Us stores in Southern California and bought all they had. And we had something like 100 of these police cars. And we chopped them up and turned them into fire trucks and taxis and police cars and everything else. The other decision that we had to make was the scale of it, and that became a huge discussion, and it was all centered around the size of the Marshmallow Man and how big the Marshmallow Man was to be. He's 112 and a half feet tall. I don't know why.
Between camera speeds, lighting, and his performance, he gave the character the volume. He actually made him 90 feet or 112 and a half feet tall.
And he was doing this double bounce walk like a cartoon character, and it looked really, really stupid. And I remember Ivan, we sent over this footage, and he just went, "Oh my God, how can this possibly be the end of my movie?" I remember he got really nervous, and we kept saying, "That's going to work, it's going to work." You haven't seen the finished suit.
I mean, here we got even this $25,000, $30,000 suit. We got 3 of them in the world. We set the guy on fire, he falls down. That's the universal signal of I'm in trouble, so we put him out. Well, there goes $20,000, and we got to try it again tomorrow night. We do it again, and he does it again. Then we hired Tony Caesar, and okay, all you got to do is step up on this box, slap the top of this church. Got it? Yeah, but I don't want to use the supplied air, right? Well, we argued for 10 minutes about the fact that he was going to have to be on supplied air because the foam on this thing was toxic. I won.
All that marshmallow is basically shaving cream. And you had to mix it in 500-gallon batches.
And it weighed like 500 pounds,
Yeah.
so when it hit the actor, it actually,
Oh yeah, the OSHA guy. He didn't know that was going to happen to him. They said, just stand here, look around. And they dumped all that shaving cream on him in the middle of the street, and he didn't even know it was going to happen. He got really, really angry with everybody.
Well, we told her that we're going to put a little pyrotechnics on the cart. Operative word little, and it was loaded pretty heavy. And that line that she sticks her head out there around the corner.
What the hell are you doing?
She's looking straight at us, and she's not happy.
John and I worked in animation. You can draw anything you want. John kept drawing these things that you...
it's easier drawn than done.
And when he did the finale with the temple blown off, he had this shake from the explosion.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, but
the guys are standing right there.
I showed it to Thane, and I said, "Thane, can you do that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I remember after we were so proud of the explosion, how cool it looked.
Mark came to me and said, "How strong do you want me to make this building?" I said, "Stronger than you can."
So we welded up a frame out of 1/4-inch steel around the whole temple there, and I just couldn't believe that you needed it that strong. And then we started talking about deflector aprons to get the blast to shoot out the sides like the original illustration.
Ivan said, "But they would all have been killed." And we went, "Well, yeah, that's the joke.
That's the whole point.
That's the joke." I mean,
I was standing about 100 feet away when that thing went off, and I had stuff going over my head.
I had the unique privilege of being hit in the head by one of the best pyromen in California. One of the errant benches on top of the temple went flying through the air, hit the plexiglass, careened off, and creased me in the skull.
And you've never been the same.
Never been the same.
At my own defense, I told Virgil, he came to me and says, "Where's it safe?" I said, "Behind me somewhere."
We were totally serious about making it stupid, and that the stupidity had to be completely believable. That I mean, they were funny, they were gags, but every matte line, every character, and every piece of animation model, everything was done with the detail as if it were doing 2001: The Space Odyssey. But we never let go of the fact that the initial drive was it was supposed to be funny.
Well, this is going to be incredibly stupid. We're never going to work again. Or it's really going to be fun.
Like I said,
We thought it was going to be a big hit, but it was a monster hit. And it's still my favorite comedy movie of all time.
We got one!
There's a few million more stories out there. But these will have to suffice.